Hello everyone, we are just starting up the tea class today. Hello everyone. So I'm greeting here multiple times because we are at the same time on Instagram, on Teams, and actually also recording for YouTube. So it's a lot happening at the same time. I'm seeing that on Teams we have already quite a few people, so we wait a little bit longer to allow everyone to join in. And as we get started, I also give you some advice to getting ready. So for those that have ordered the box, the T-Class box, you should have received something like these with 4 different teas. And we're gonna start with the green tea, Jiao Cha. So you can start getting 3 grams out of that tea. And if you want to turn on the kettle also, it's 80 degrees to get started. We might change it a little bit later, but you can already warm it up at 80 degrees. I'll do the same here. And I saved 3 grams. So I will also start with the 3 grams of the tea, and then I give the introduction after everyone is in. I see that more people are joining on Teams. I'm not sure about Instagram. Let me see if I can pull a monitoring chat here. We have Sigi and Nadir in the Instagram, so that they will follow from there, because I don't see the Instagram screen from here, so I cannot reply your comments there. Let me see. Cool. So Sigi, if you can write me directly in the private chat, so that I can get some feedback from you there. Lotus 3 grams. This is actually the 10th series of tea classes. We have been doing these, I don't know exactly, I think for about 2 years now. And it's always usually sessions of 12 samples that we taste together in a time between, I would say, 8 and 12 classes. This time is a little bit less samples. We have just 4 that we will taste in the course of 8 classes. Usually the classes are thematic, like the last one was about Taiwan Oolong, for example. And this time there was the request for not doing anything specific, but mainly focusing on general tea tasting and just deepen our knowledge about tea tasting. So that's what we are gonna start today. I'm just checking out how is it going there on Instagram to see.
You already have a question, which tea are we drinking today?
Yes, so today we are going to drink this one here. At least I'm going to drink this. Jiao Cha, which means goat horn tea. But if you don't have this tea and you have another green tea, go for it. If you don't have another green tea and you have whatever other tea that gets close to it, just take that and let's use that. So 3 grams, and so we will get started. And maybe before we even start with the tea class, if we speak about advanced tea tasting, I remember an interview I have seen some years ago to a professional tea taster. A professional tea taster that is working for a large wholesale company in Germany. Germany has a lot of heritage with importing tea, and there are in the north of Germany large companies importing tea, and they have a very difficult task because they have to select the best tea out of very cheap tea. Like when you are a wholesaler and that type of market, they sell relatively, I mean, not relatively, just cheap tea. And these tea tasters, especially in the tea season, taste like dozens and dozens and dozens of tea every day. And they say to learn testing, there is only one thing that you can do: taste, which is, quite straightforward. And they said, just taste tea, drink tea for 10 years, and then you start talking. So we can, of course, wait 10 years, but on the other side, we thought maybe it's better if we try to fight a little bit against the time. And I've been drinking tea for more than 10 years, I can guarantee, and maybe I can try to give you at least my view and my experience on the tea tasting. Certainly when I'm traveling in Japan, China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and so on, I'm tasting a lot of teas. And so I can at least share that experience, yeah. Today, how is this structure? I told you we have 4 different teas. We start with the first one, this green tea. This will stay with us for 2 tea classes and for the time in between. So it means that ideally, today in 1 week at the end of the tea class, you have finished your pouch. Your 20 gram is over. So this tea will stay with you for the next 7 days or 8 days. And the reason is we want to develop together with this tea an approach to tea tasting that we are going to repeat similarly again and again with the next 3 teas. There will be some adaptation that I don't know yet because I haven't thought about that yet, but I'm pretty sure that things will also change. But certainly we will try to keep a common thread between the 4 set or the 4 pairs of classes. And this first class is mainly about sensory awareness and associations, tasting association. If there is one word that you want to remember and want to bring with you at the end of this tea class, is the word association. And association is, it's clear what it is, but is in the frame of tea is a method, a way of connecting flavors, aromas, but also sensations all together in a way that is not obvious, let's say. And I make you an example. I'm sure I made this example already in the past, actually. Many years ago, I've asked my friend Jen. She's a Fujian, native Fujian from Fujian province in China. I asked her while we were traveling in Fuding, when we were tasting a white tea. I was asking her, how do you like this tea? What do you think about? How do you what taste it is, and so on. And she replied to me that the tea was tasting like the sun. And this is, for example, a kind of out-of-the-box association in a way, right? So maybe most of us would not instantly think at the sun when I ask, can you associate this tea with a specific something? Yeah. And of course there is something behind the story, because she's into tea and she knows that white tea is dried under the sun, and so this helps also making the connection, right? So it's a little bit the experience you have with the tea, but also going beyond that and see if in your life you can associate it with something. So the first type of brewing we are doing today is bowl brewing. Bowl brewing, you might have heard it from others. It's not something I do very common, but I've seen it quite a lot in Taiwan, done in this specific way, the way we are doing. There has been also on the nannuoshan YouTube channel some of the videos that I recorded last year in Taiwan that came out just in the last few weeks and months. In some of those, for example, the one with Ryan, I was in this little atelier with Ryan. We did this type of tasting in an even more extreme form. So that's pretty common there. And let me think, where did I see that? I'm sure I've seen that also done elsewhere. I cannot think right now at the place, but I'm sure it was done. So what we will do today, we will warm up the bowl. And I told you before to warm up the kettle at 80 degrees C. Green tea, so we usually would brew this green tea, Chinese green tea, at about 80 degrees. Now, there are people doing this methodology also with 100 degrees. I leave it up to you. Okay, it's I will go for 80 degrees, and I will tell you also why. If you want to go with 100, go with 100. If you go with 90, go to 90. I don't think that because 90 is in the middle, you will get the middle ground, because when you brew a green tea at 90 degrees centigrade, you will get rather close to the 100 taste than to the 80 taste. Okay. And I'm warming up everything because my bowl is pretty thick, and if I don't do that, the water will be actually colder as soon as I pour it in. So this way I'm pretty sure it is I will be brewing at 80 degrees. So we say that we want to concentrate on associations today, and it's important in doing so to interact with each other. I always repeat it in the tea class, please don't be shy. Let me pull up the chat here because I know no one wrote yet. In fact, I knew exactly this. So we have to do maybe a little challenge here so that people will write. But it's really important. I make you another example. Years ago, I was drinking a black tea I like with a friend, and this friend knows nothing about tea. I mean, nothing more than anyone else knows. And then she told me at the first sip, right? She got a sip and told me, "Wow, it tastes like milk chocolate." And I had that tea so many times before that, and I never connected with chocolate, but when she told me that, it remains in my head. Like, you say, oh yeah, that's true. So sometimes other people can help you making an association and then stays firm with you. For this reason, please share your thoughts of the brewing in the chat as well, so that we can you can contribute to everyone. We will see with a very arbitrary judgment of Nadir, Sigi, and myself, we will at the end decide who contributed the most today of you, nannuoshan team excluded, and we will give a pouch of this tea. A pouch of this tea to the most active person today in the tasting. So the next time you place an order, just remind us and we send you over the pouch. So now I put the 3 grams of leaves in my bowl. What do you want to think at is pretty much nothing. So you want to have immediate reaction to the tea. What are your immediate impressions, your immediate association with the tea? That's what you want. So don't think too much, you just smell it. If your first association is nothing, then that's it.
Nutty, and can you tell me how many grams you used?
3.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So we got a nutty. Someone said nothing. I think it's still, someone is asking, I think it's still possible to order the tea. Someone should check online. I think we still have it. I read butter. We are just smelling the tea, right? Please stay with me. Butter, nutty. The first thing actually that I thought is broth, like a vegetal broth. So more going into the savory direction.
It reminds me of brown butter.
What was that? Brown butter?
Yeah.
I've never seen brown butter, I think. Or you mean brown butter after you warm it up in the pan?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay, yes, makes sense. Yeah. pecans, so we have a lot of nuttiness.
I would say something similar. I feel like it smells a bit like shortbread.
Shortbread, yeah. So you see
My
the
association would be roasted peanuts, I think.
peanuts.
Roasted peanuts specifically.
Yeah, you see how many ideas came to, you know, drinking in a group.
I get toasted rice.
Toasted rice. Yeah, toasted rice.
That's
So a little bit
terrible.
starchy, maybe a little bit of.
Have you all ever had the like Cracker Jack popcorn? Like the kettle corn with peanuts in it?
I think I missed that.
That might be it. That's sort of what it reminds me of.
Maybe you can search a picture and put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So for those that are seeing only in this direction but don't see what I'm looking when I look this side, I have the laptop here and the Teams group. For those that join on Instagram, there is also the possibility to join on Teams. The advantage there is that you are able to see also all the other students. There are 30 people now online on Teams only, and you can interact with each other, like they're doing that with me now via video and audio, not only with the chat. So I have 84 degrees now. So I passed it first over in the guy one, then over in the pot, and we will wait 3 minutes before we will start tasting. So it should be about 150 milliliter. So I want to be precise today, and I set it on a scale. I'm halfway. All right. So just to repeat, because we are many, so that everyone that may have missed it knows it. 3 grams of leaves, 150 milliliters bowl, or actually water, and 3 minutes. And after 3 minutes, we will start scooping, but we will let the leaves stay in. That's different than a taster mug, in which there are also taster mug with 150 milliliters, in which maybe you would also use the same amount of leaves or a little bit more, but then after a certain amount of time, you pour it out. And here you just start the tasting after 3 minutes, and then you continue. The caramel kettle corn with peanuts. Ah, okay. I didn't have this specific one, but I had a caramel corn before. It was just digressing a little bit, but it was actually my welcome gift when I moved to Denver. My host family gave me a bag of kind of similar stuff.
Quick question from Instagram, Gabriel. What is the temperature of the water?
80 degrees in my case. If you want to go a little bit higher, that's fine. It will just develop more astringency and more bitterness right away. So that's also, there are tea tasters that like to brew everything at 100 degrees and bring all the taste out. As I often say, as for me, I prefer to taste the tea the way I would be tasting. For me personally, it doesn't make any sense, honestly, to brew at 100 degrees, take all the bitterness out. If never ever again, if I want to enjoy the tea, I would do the same thing. I don't see the point. So maybe as a lesson, something to learn, but when I taste the tea, also when I travel to source tea, I am interested to know if I like the tea, also for you, the way I would brew it, not a random way, just because it takes out more compounds, let's say. But I said, I'm a little bit against the stream here, the mainstream, so if you want to do it otherwise, that's fine. My 3 minutes are always over, so I'm getting started drinking it, and do the same. Remember, now we want to, like, first impressions, right? It's not about thinking too much. Immediate impressions, immediate association, whatever comes to mind. Cheers. If I would be drink with someone else, I would scoop it out in a tiny bowl and then drink from the bowl. And there would be usually only one spoon in the bowl. But since I'm alone, so my first sensation is actually refreshing, like very different than the savory feeling that I had in my nose in the aroma. Oh, I didn't tell you much about this tea. I'd like to tell you a little bit also that. But let's start, please. If you have start scooping, share your association, your thoughts. You know, it doesn't have to be anything too complex. Do you like the tea or you don't like? You can just write it. As simple as that. Yeah, you can start with very...
Ja, ist interessant, wie das abläuft.
Well, there was too many people speaking. What was that?
We find that it tastes very different to how it smells. Much more grassy notes and very slight bitterness, but only very slight.
Yeah, start developing some bitterness. Also, the texture, I was expecting if thicker, bolder. Maybe it will continue developing now, of course. It's already 5 minutes actually in the bowl. So, and as it continue brewing, we continue drinking, and the water goes down and it becomes denser and denser. It reminds a little bit me corn. To me, it is actually more a summer tea. Like if today was a very summer day here, and it's I associate it more with nice weather. Let's put it this way.
Quick question again from Instagram. Are you based in the US?
Not yet, no more. Based in Switzerland. So a hint of fish, that's interesting, yeah. So sweet and milky. You can, for those that are, I don't know in Instagram if it's possible, on Teams it is, you can like, I think, the comments. So if someone writes something that also resonates with you, give it a like, a thumbs up, so that we see what comes more true. Sweet and milky has an almost fresh wheat taste to me. So this is good, you know, it's the next step, as a fresh wheat taste. Roasted cauliflower, that's pretty cool. I want to check that. I had roasted broccoli today, but that's different, charred actually. Spinach, yeah, there is, to me also, there is for me spinach, so that type of stewed or cooked vegetables. Walnut skin bitterness, which may also translate in astringency. Walnut is often very astringent. It dries up your mouth a lot. So if you think at walnut, you usually have an astringency in your mouth rather than bitterness. If you don't know the difference between bitter and astringency, guess what? One of the 378 videos on the nannuoshan YouTube channel is all about that. Walnut resonate with many. Fresh snap peas as well, because yes, they roasted cauliflowers and spinach, but it has also a raw vegetal taste. And for me, snap peas have a raw taste. It's not something I would, you know, eat raw, but I associate that actually with the raw snap peas.
We have a weird association, shrimp.
Shrimp. Well, fish was already mentioned before. I don't know if it was you. No, it was Melanie and Timo saying little fishy as well. So fish is coming up a lot, yeah?
I think I'm also getting some like sour, tangy notes, something like lemon peel. So it's kind of zesty.
And I think that some of those astringency, walnut, lemon peel is coming out more now that we are 9 minutes into the brew. You have also to consider that, right? These 3 grams has been now with, in my case, 50 milliliters of water, and that water has been with the leaves for 10 minutes already. Rice crackers, yeah. Now it starts to taste like cheap matcha. Cool. What I think is also important, at least mentioning it here, because it will come later with our homework for the week, is that a lot about the tasting experience comes also with the settings and with the teaware you're using and the brewing method. It's clear that this brewing method here is nothing, how can I say, too mindful, right? It's just a blank bowl, and we are in a large group of people. It's me speaking all the time, so it's more of a methodological approach. So it might be also not be the best to generate the most crazy association in your mind, let's say.
We have 2 of the same vessel, but they taste completely different.
And they came out of the same bag, same water, everything the same.
The bags were different too, so they were this. So they were 2 orders. So
Wow.
So we used 1 of each. So
I can tell you that
the batch.
this tea is the only year we sourced it. So let's spend a couple of words about this tea. Let's leave the tea there for a little bit, and then we taste it once more before we switch method. And so the story goes like that. I mentioned it yesterday a little bit in the preview on Instagram, but I can provide you a bit more details. So it was April, I think. I was in Guangzhou, and I wanted to visit a friend of mine, and from this farmer we sourced in the past the Jiao Cha, a black tea that come from a forest. Unfortunately, that tea will no more be produced because the farmer has no more access to the bushes in the forest, and I think the bushes are no more there because someone has bought the whole forest. And however, he has also teas elsewhere, including actually in another forest. And this forest here is, if you look at Guangzhou city, Guangzhou Foshan, which is, by the way, the world's largest metropolitan area. So if you want to, the place on earth, the area on earth with most people is actually there. I think it's about, in this metropolitan area, makes for almost the inhabitant of Italy. And if you look basically on a map of the city, on the northeast, you will see that the city ends in a forest. And this tea comes from that forest. So the bushes grow completely in shadow, actually, under the forest canopy.
Another quick question from Instagram. Why does the brewing last so long? Why don't you stop and decant after 3 minutes?
Yeah, that would be the approach with the tea taster mug. But if you want, this is a way of revealing more of the tea without having to brew it with 100 degrees. Because probably the taste we are getting now is something very similar to what we would have got with a 4 minutes brew at 100 degrees. But we had also, this way we had also the opportunity of starting the tasting when the tea was tasting as we would brew it probably. And then we wait, we let him evolve. And now we have also all those bitter notes that are come out, some sourness that was mentioned. So you can cover in a single brew the whole spectrum in a way. So that would be maybe an explanation for it. But at this point, I would say it's certainly bitter enough to switch method. So for the next session, we will use again 3 grams of leaves. So exactly the same amount. For those that have 2 bags, you can pick up the one you like the most. And we will use a teapot this time. Think also now, even for yourself, about the first impression that you got about the tea overall. And now we will see what impression we have in a week time. Because when we mentioned before those tea tasters, they have to take really a very quick decision, right? They have all these teas one next to each other. We want to approach this in a different way. You cannot, you learn to be fast later on. You don't do things fast at the very beginning. But once you get a lot of tea and you make a lot of association and you know what you want to look after, then you don't need to taste many teas a lot of the time. I make you another example of another friend I have. She has a lot of experience with tea. She has got a tea shop for like 30 years or 25. And when she tastes tea, she does like this. She takes a spoon that is not larger than this, which is really small. She make a spoonful, she empty half, she sip a bit, and she finish to empty it. And then she says if she likes it or not. So basically it's a total of probably 4 drops in her mouth. And that will come with time. So let's go back to the second brew, which is a classic Western style. So now we brew the tea the way that all of us probably have seen it done when we were children, before we got really into tea. And still sometimes today I still do it actually. So I'm just getting ready. You see I'm taking a strainer, a pitcher, a teapot. This I think is 150, maybe a little bit more. I will measure it now just to be sure. Because we want to use 3 grams for 250 milliliters. So same amount of leaves but more water. And if we have a smaller teapot or a larger teapot, you can adjust accordingly. The ratio is 3 grams for 250, or if you want 6 grams for half a liter.
Temperature stays the same?
Yes, I suggest whatever temperature you went before, just keep it, because we want to keep something constant. When you change too many parameters at a time, it's difficult to know what's the point, where does it come from. And here we are changing already 2 things. We are changing the leaves to water ratio and also the brewing time.
When you check the capacity of your teapot, like you did just now, did you fill the water all the way to the brim, or did you leave?
No, I leave it a little. So what I'm doing also now, I put the lid on before empty the water so that I can see it's not coming out. Because I really want to measure how much water I put inside. Because of exactly this question, we have recently changed the way we give the capacities on our product pages. Now you will see with the all new products, you always have 2 numbers. You have the serving capacity and the capacity. We do that for guy ones and we do that for cups, so that you know you have both. You have both. There is a trick though. When you put, of course, the tea inside, you remove also a little bit of that volume. So it's not much though, so it's not.
Yeah, that was what I was wondering, if you were accounting for leaving space for the future TVs or not.
It's a very minor effect. The leaf takes more volume later on, that's for sure. but as soon as you put them in, before they absorb the water, they don't take a lot.
Gabriella, for the notes, how much water was that? I didn't catch it the first time.
This was the water. If you have a 250, Paul, you can go with 250 milliliters and 3 grams, and otherwise you adapt accordingly. Like in my case, I have 160. Not sure I can do that by mind how to say that. So I will do with a calculator. 250, no, 3 grams divided 250 times 160. I will put 1 point, is that little? Yes, 1.92. Wow. To be precise, I mean, we don't have to be that precise. But of course, when we do comparison, we are going to compare this taste with the previous one. It's worth being precise. So, where is the tea? So I repeat, 3 grams for 250 milliliters. Same tea, same water temperature. Brewing time, I didn't say that yet, 4 minutes.
Do you preheat the pot?
I didn't do that here, but because I pour cold water. But I would say we should do that if you didn't put yet the leaves inside, because we did that before. If you already put the leaves inside and it was wet and you cannot take the leaves out again, what you can do instead of you add 5 degrees to the water temperature and you pour first on the wall of the teapot, not directly on the leaves, and then you get more or less the same. Okay, so down to the last digit. So we warm up the teapot as well and then we get started. We choose this tea to start out of the 4 because it's a little bit more intuitive than other teas. Simpler in a way. I would say green teas are mostly easier to taste than others. Yeah. So I'm really happy that we got a lot of messages in the chat here on Teams. I'm not able really to follow everything, but thanks for sharing. It's not only for me, of course, it's for everyone else. So even if I'm not able to read your message, please continue writing so that everyone can profit from that. So I'm warming up the teapot.
What's the size of your teapot again?
160. This is actually my go-for teapot for green tea. I always use this.
So when the 4 minutes are over, we pour out the whole brew, right?
Yes, correct, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will see also in the course of the tea classes that we will really try to keep it every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. in Europe, 11:30 a.m. Central in the US. I've been repeating this sentence in so many shorts video. I'm happy that time is over. And also in the following week, so that you have a reference for it. And I don't know yet if at a certain point we will switch to all Instagram. I somehow like the fact that here we can see each other and we can interact more. At a certain point, maybe when we are more into the series, we will ask your thoughts about that. Yeah, so I was saying that different teas really react differently to different brewing methods. You will see, for example, that other types of tea where the first method would not develop as bitter as quickly. And let's wait.
Would it also be possible to follow the class if you don't have an Instagram account, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't try yet if it works with the link to join.
Some stuff works and some doesn't.
Yeah. I also had the thought. While I wait another minute or so, what do we want to look at here? We want to do exactly the same exercise that we did before, but since we have done it already once, we want to add something to it, and we want to look also more into the differences between the previous one. So it's not so much repeating what we already know about the tea, but it's seeing if with this brew there is something different. By the way, it doesn't have to be, right? I don't know. It's the first time I'm doing this. I didn't try the tea class in advance myself, so it's not that every question has to be answered with a yes. But this is what we want to focus on. And in terms of differences, just keeping an eye on the timer because I'm really good at forgetting brews. We want to focus on, for example, classics like taste and aroma, but also on things that are a little bit less clear. For example, speaking about clear, the clarity of the brew. Like how clear is the texture and the tea, generally speaking, in your mouth. The texture as well, the body of the tea. And I need a cup as well. There's also a challenge actually in doing a video with two formats, because in Instagram it's vertical and in YouTube and Teams is horizontal, so I may have to make sure that everything fits on both. So I'm trying not to speak first, so I'm waiting your comments. So I will write my thoughts. Although I have to say, I don't know this word in other languages than Italian.
What's the word?
In Italian is zucchero filato. No one knows it unless you're Italian. Let me search that. I have an idea, but I'm not sure.
I think the spell of it is a lot less nutty, and to me, it's a little bit more vegetable and a little more floral.
More vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
More vegetable. So that's that's the first thoughts. More vegetables, and you said also nutty, right?
Say again?
Did you say nutty?
I said the smell of it to me is less nutty.
Less nutty and more vegetable. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the taste is a lot more cooked, like cooked vegetables now. Before that, it felt kind of raw, like you said, snap peas, for example. And now, yeah, it feels kind of brothy.
It's interesting how we have quite different views on this one. I was when I first drank it, my first association was cotton candy. Probably because the last thing I had in my mouth was the very bitter sensation of the of this here, and now it's more balanced. I like it much better actually. Anyone find it pretty much the same? Like if I would give you these teas blind, one after the other, could you tell it's the same tea?
No, I would tell you I don't like the first one, but I better like the second.
Okay. Like even myself, I don't know if I would recognize it. It's certainly more similar, of course, to how the first tea was at the beginning. But we have to consider that all in all is a little bit more diluted, this one. We have way less leaves, so it's lighter. Yeah, here you go. Kristen writing more light and refreshing, like a sweet water. Yeah, sweet water. It's like these beverages that are actually water with a tiny bit of flavoring in it and sugar. That's it. So also the mouthfeel and the texture is very light. It reminds to me a cloud in a way. So if I have to search an association that is out of the tasting world, I would think at a cloud. Also because cotton candy looks like a cloud, so. Nice. So we can continue to enjoy this brew. There is no other, but if you want, you can also try doing a second brew with this one. And and now let's recap today and think a little bit about what we will do during the week and next week. So today we said we wanted to concentrate on associations. As a matter of fact, we ended up with a, let's say, easier form of association, which is not simply describing the taste of a tea, but associating with other food and beverages. That's the first type of association. We are still in the food world. The next type would be re-associating it either with something completely different, or and you can try working on it during the week, or with something that it is food, but this may be a food with whom you have a very, or an aroma with whom you have a very strong association yourself for any reason. I give you two examples. One is many white tea are said to recall hay in taste, and also sometimes also fresh grass, depending how fresh it is. That's the most common association of white tea. For me personally, I generally associate white tea first with yeast, bread yeast. And the reason is that what brings to to mind is when my mom was doing bread dough as I was a child. And I remember this smell in the kitchen, and it reminds me a lot of many white tea, usually Baimodan reminds me a lot of that. And so this is an association with food, but it's particularly strong with me because of that experience in my youth. And another thing is very dry storage shoepware reminds me a lot of when it rains in summer on a very dry ground, on soil, and that you get all these aroma up in the air. and it reminds me much less of basement or other associations that are done with sugar. This is not something we eat, the soil, but the earth, but nonetheless is an association that comes with me just because of my past, because this is a kind of aroma that I really like. So try also during the week to search for those associations, because I tell you, those are the teas that you will end up liking the most. Those that reminds you of something, that you associate with something, and is a perfect starting point to mature also some confidence in tasting tea. Because when you get that association at the first sip, you will always get it with the tea. And then from there you can start building up. The homework for the week that we all do if we want, of course, is doing a completely different kind of session. We will do more of what we could call let's say a mindful self-learning, right? It's very difficult to do a mindful tea session when you are online with other 30 people and more. And certainly for me, when I'm sitting in front of a computer and 3 cameras and lights and so on, it's impossible actually to concentrate really fully on the tea. So this is something that we need to do alone by ourselves. So try to find a good moment when you are calm, that you can dedicate yourself to the tea. Forget all the association with tasting that we have done. Don't go there and search for them, but just enjoy the moment. Enjoy also the process, the selection of the teaware, and the whole process of doing the tea, not only waiting for the taste, but the whole process. And then when you drink it, maybe focus most on your sensations and your mood rather than on what your tasting buds tells you. And this is also a way of knowing better the tea.
Should we be doing that homework with this tea again, or pick a random tea that we have?
This tea. Yeah, that's why for those that have it, for those that have used another tea, try to do the same with that tea that you have today, because the idea is understanding the different layers of this tea. Already today, and let's be honest, we didn't change too many things in this tasting. Yeah? They've been pretty similar actually, not a multitude of steeping, just one, very similar. I would say we notice quite a difference already. And what we want to do during this week, you have at least one, if you want 2, we will need probably 5-6 grams next week, so leave them aside, and all the rest is for the week so that you can learn the tea better. For the next week, I will send you some material that we will be using for that tea session. So for those that got the samples, so in advance, now they are sold out, but in advance of the tea classes series, we always put the samples that we're gonna drink together online under tea collections and vouchers, so that everyone that wants can join the tea class drinking the same samples. There is no up price, so the tea class itself is actually for free. Those are just the cost of the samples, and we will do that also, of course, in the future. So if you have this tea, try to stick with it. And for those that bought the sample box here, I have your emails. So as I send you already some preliminary information about today's class, I will send you also the material for the next. If you are watching on Instagram, if you're watching on Teams or on YouTube, and you don't have the box, you missed that, but you still want the additional material to participate in the tea class next week, just send an email to info@nannuoshan.org and we will send it also to you. Okay. So I would say that's all for today. It is the first of 8 classes, and I hope that by the end, in about 2 months' time, we will all have a better understanding of tasting tea. Thanks a lot, everyone, and see you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.